if we just have a look on what kind of products we are dealing with, then we have listed some of them here. The main type of product would be our power packs. It would be our wood concept here as one, and as mentioned, we also have other more customized units, but this is the key product. Inside the blue tank here, we have our pump sitting. We are also producing that pump ourselves. It could be either the PHT or the PAH, depending on what type of water quality we're talking about, whether it's a technical water / DI water, or whether it's tap water. Besides this, we have a number of different valves. We have solenoid valves, on-off valves. They can either be supplied separately, or then they can be also mounted on the frame of the power pack. What you see here is our actually a dedicated power pack valve. It includes both a solenoid valve and a relief valve to make sure that when you reach a certain pressure in your system, a certain set level, then the relief valve will open and relieve the excess water and pressure back to the tank, and thereby recirculate the flow. It's also possible to recirculate all the water if you don't want to. If you have an application where your application need water, and then you need to stop it, and then short time after you need water again, then you can also recirculate pressure free back to the tank by using this solenoid valve here. Besides this, we also have a range of nozzles for this type of application. If we have a closer look on our NVC unit here, as mentioned, it's built around a tank. Inside the tank, our pump is sitting. The tank acts as a buffer, and it also provides cooling for any recirculated flow. Plus, it's actually the ideal environment for our pump, being submerged here in the tank. So it's kind of a shelter for the tank. It also means that when we're talking about lifetime and service, we see that in many cases, service is, or the interval in between service is very long. Typically, we even see up to 20,000 hours before service is required. Of course, it's important to have the right conditions here and the right filtration also. But otherwise, up to 20,000 hours is what we've seen within this type of application here. Then we have our power pack valve that I just mentioned sitting here. This is recirculating any excess flow back to the tank that is not required by the application. And another function here is that you can circulate it back to the tank pressure free if your application is not needing the flow. An advantage here is that you can use this in a constant speed mode, where the motor is running at a certain speed without VFD, and then you just use the power pack valve to recirculate water. But as mentioned in the beginning, it's of course also an option to use a frequency converter to control the speed of the motor and thereby also the pump speed. As Hannu has mentioned before, this is a very small footprint to cover a very wide area in a production, both in terms of the power pack itself, but also in terms of the pipings needed to be installed. So thereby this also means that this is not only for new applications, for new installations, but it can also be retrofitted or upgraded into already existing applications. I saw we also had a question about this from one of you listening in here. So that's thank you very much for that. But it is possible to do both new installations and retrofitting or upgrading existing applications. If we take the next slide here, so basically we have one concept here that can be configured to whatever need you may have, and it can fit into a lot of different applications. It's very robust and very reliable. It has high uptime, and as mentioned, a very long service intervals. Also, when you're using high pressure water mist, you get a highly effective system that can cover a very wide area with just a very limited amount of water. As Hannu said, we're talking about a factor of 6 or 7 times the area that you can cover with the same amount of water compared to a low pressure system. Then it's also easy to fit into tight spaces, making it also ideal for upgrade and retrofitting cases in existing applications. And finally, as mentioned, we have been in this business for 20 years now, and so we have a long experience and a product here, a solution here that is proven in the field.